Michigan. This is the U.S. Hot Rod Association's 6th annual Auto Thrill Show Spectacular. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman, and with me, Margot King. And Margot, the lineup of events tonight boggles the imagination.
We're going to start off with Demolition Derby. Female and male competitors bashing bumpers.
Then we're going to bring out Hollywood stuntman Danny Reed, who will attempt to jump a Lincoln Continental off a ramp and T-bone a parked car.
Move his ramp out of the way, give Bigfoot a dirt ramp. He's going to try to jump 12 cars, beating his own record.
It's never been seen on television before. Bigfoot, the original monster truck, will attempt to jump 65 feet. And speaking of monster trucks, a complete lineup of those awesome beasts, plus the monster tanks.
A new one hitting the circuit tonight, Barefoot Tracks. And I'm telling you, it's a debut here in Pontiac tonight.
You're rounded out with mud bog, side-by-side drag racing competition. You've got a wild night of racing, so don't go away. We'll be right back to the Pontiac Silverdome. Welcome back to the Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod Association's 6th annual Auto Thrill Show at the Pontiac Silverdome. And coming up first, the Demolition Derby.
Now, you're probably wondering what sort of person participates in an event like this. Earlier, Larry had a chance to talk to two of the Canadian entries.
If you imagine the competition where the objective is to destroy your car and everybody else's car, you've got Demolition Derby. And two of the top Canadian participants down here at the Pontiac Silverdome are Roland Van Zelst and Jeff Riedel. Roland, what is the objective in Demolition Derby?
Well, the basic objective is to be the only car left that makes aggressive contact, not necessarily the only car left running.
And that's it?
That's it.
Beat the heck out of the other guy.
Basically, you got to watch out for the driver's door, too. You don't want to hurt the guy and spoil all the fun.
Jeffrey, what do you have to do to a car like this to prepare it?
Well, basically, you gotta take all the chrome off, remove all the windows, remove the gas tank, put in a boat gas tank.
5-gallon tank?
5-gallon tank, yeah. And remove all the interior that may be flammable. And that's basically it.
Roland, what's the life expectancy of a car like this?
Oh, approximately 15 minutes, providing that your radiator doesn't get blown out on you.
Does it take skill to do this, or is it just kind of go out there?
I would say 90% of it is luck.
Really?
Yes, because the car could be running excellently. When you drive in there, you may find out something happens. These are old cars, have been on the road for years. Anything could happen at the last minute.
And here we go with the start of the Demolition Derby. The competition, when you say you want to annihilate the other guy, you really mean that, Margot King.
And when the green flag drops, you start annihilating, throw it into reverse, and start bashing.
Slamming into the other car behind you, protect that all-important radiator out in front.
So remember, check out those seatbelts and helmets. Safety gear is important in this sport.
That's Brian Rindelsbacher, number 007. There's number 409. That's Debbie George, a lady in a 1979 Gremlin.
I told you we were going to have the women bashing the men.
Oh, right. If the car goes up on the mound for 1 minute, that car is disqualified. Or if the car goes over the mound, outlining the course, it is immediately disqualified.
Already, we need a smoke blower to see these cars.
The Pontiac Silverdome, the Demolition Derby, and look at them go.
They told me it was very important when picking a demolition car to make sure you get one that doesn't have a lot of corrosion in it. And when I got to thinking about it, that was a really good point.
No question about that. Look at this one already heading for the wrecking yard, but still running, still managing to run.
I heard Ralph Nader was here taking notes.
Number 921, that's Vicky Hogue, a black 77 Sunbird, and she's still running. Number 1 is Ken Comedian, the 81 Chevette.
An emotional face.
You might look at the checkered flags there on the sides of the car. There's a reason for those flags being up there, Margot.
When their car is completely disabled, they have lost all ability to move forward or backwards, the referee will point the red flag at them. They'll break the flag off of their car, and they will be out of competition. At this point, there's a lot of checkered flags up, but not a lot of motion out there.
Not a whole lot of motion at all. Every driver is required to wear a helmet and a safety belt, even if the driver has been disqualified from the competition. Although each disqualified contestant must break their checkered flag, there's still a possibility that an out-of-control car may hit the disabled car while the driver's sitting in it. There goes beautiful Vicky Hogue, and she's still in the running and still slamming into the car. She's looking strong out there, having some smoke problems, but she's still managing to keep running.
Now, she's got to keep her tongue in her mouth, because if she takes a hit from behind, she could bite her tongue off.
921, Vicky Hogue in a 77 Sunbird, doing an excellent job of driving and T-boning the other car. Number 82, the Gremlin.
Now, I'm noticing the cars aren't getting the...
Whoa!
Whoa, that was a great hit. Just when I was thinking they weren't getting any velocity because they went down the surface here so they wouldn't pick up an astronomical amount of speed.
There's Vicky Hogan at 77 Sunbird, showing no mercy to Ken Comedy in the number 1 car, and Ken is out of the competition.
When you're up on that mound for more than a minute, you're out of it.
There's Ken Zerwicki in the number 10 car right there in the middle of the pack. And these guys are getting slammed around. There goes Vicky again. She's after this guy, number 1.
Payback, Larry.
And Vicky Hogue has just finished off Ken Comedy. They continue to run. Gremlins, I think that's longer than the Gremlin actually ran on the roads when they were still street legal.
You may have a good point there.
No question about it. The radiators are absolutely shot on most of these cars. Look at the steam coming up. There's Tom Bowles in car number 91. That's a 1980 Monza. And there's number 7, Al Horton. He's also in a 1980 Monza. And looks like both cars are leaking a lot of radiator fluid. And the clock ticks down, and there's the finish. The flag comes out. We await the judges for the winner. Now, this is a timed event of 5 minutes. The judges will now pick from the remaining cars which one has been the most aggressive and whose car is in the best shape. Who do you think? Is it going to be Vicky?
Well, Vicky didn't get mad, but she might have got even a couple times.
There's Vicky Hogue getting out of her 921 Sunbird, the black 77 Sunbird. And she wins. Vicky Hogue takes home the bacon. And is she happy? Look at her.
Not enough dents in her car.
She's putting a few more on them, and the crowd loves it here at the Pontiac Silverdome. So don't go away. Coming those wild and crazy mud bog drag racers. Welcome back to the Budweiser U.S. Hot Rod 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show. For all you do, this Bud's for you. I'm Larry Huffman with Margot King. And now it's side-by-side mud bog drag racing action. But they are running against the clock. And this is one of the wildest machines ever built. Earlier, Margot had a chance to talk to the driver of the Mud Shark.
Mike Early and his car, the Mud Shark, without a doubt, one of the most spectacular acts on the mud bog circuit today. But along with being spectacular, sometimes being airborne is a problem with you, Mike. What have you done to correct that?
Well, we've tightened the suspension up in order to keep the car in contact with the track better, and I think that'll help quite a bit this evening.
Well, with the suspension dialed in and a motor that we know runs good, this gentleman could be a real contender tonight.
And this is Mike Erdely's pride and joy, a 1964 Corvette with a blown and alcohol-injected 454 Chevy engine, custom molded from Mike's personal 64 Corvette. His competition, Tom Marsh and the Intruder, a 1923 Ford Model T Roadster.
And the run's about to begin, and it looks like the Mud Shark got a great gate.
Jumping the gun possibly just a little, Margot King. The top 2 times of this round will go to the final round. Mike Erdely's 1,200 horsepower had a slight advantage over Tom Marsh's 1,000 horsepower engine. The crowd here in the Motor City loves the big block American iron. They love the early Corvettes. And there's Mike Erdely's machine, and what a beautiful car it is.
Notice the tires on the Model T there. And he has opted to use the paddle-type tires that we normally don't see in this type of competition. But even with that advantage, the horsepower in his motor couldn't make the cut.
The Intruder with a time of 278 has a 402 Chevy big block engine, alcohol injected on nitrous oxide. The Mud Shark with a time of 3.63 seconds, but he was penalized 1 second for starting over the line.
And in this game, 1 second puts you out of contention.
So the Mud Shark actually tripped the clocks at 2.63 seconds. That was faster than the Intruder, but that 1 second penalty hurt a lot.
On the far track, we've got the Mud Buster from Waukegan, Illinois. Earlier, Larry had a chance to talk to the driver.
The Mud Buster out of Waukegan, Illinois, and this is Mark Green. Mark, what a short wheelbase machine like the Jeep, and you've extended the wheelbase?
Yeah, I've extended it 24 inches just to make it a little easier to handle in the mud, and hopefully it'll go a little straighter.
What is the hardest thing about mud bogging and driving a mud bogger?
Keeping it straight, keeping it in the track.
Keeping it from going off the track?
Right. It's pretty hard sometimes to keep it going straight.
What happens when you suddenly find yourself going sideways?
Well, if you have to get out of the throttle, you might as well hang it up because it's all over with.
And the drivers are staging now for the next run in front of a near-capacity crowd here in the Silverdome. On track 1, Mark Green in the Mud Buster.
And on track 2, it's Instant T, driven by Chad Miller from Vandalia, Ohio. He's got a 1927 Ford Roadster with a 509 Rodeck, all aluminum engine.
And that Rodeck engine powers him right down across through the finish line in front. Chad Miller in the Instant T, an excellent showing here. He pulled everything from that 900 horsepower engine and the Power Glide transmission. The car was built by Tom Marsh, who just ran the Intruder. Custom hand-built chrome moly tube frame, being the lightest vehicle here tonight, weighing only 1,900 pounds.
And his choice of tires is interesting. He's got a chevron pattern paddle tire on the front, along with the standard cut groundhogs on the back. A combination that, although it was a bumpy ride, it did seem effective.
With a time of 2.33 seconds. Let's take a look now at the Mudbuster and see what he can do. Slow motion. Boy, that front wheel, those front wheels come up in the air as he launches off the line. 2.9 second clocking. He breaks the 3-second mark.
You can see why these drivers sweat over suspension, because his front shocks are working in that run.
And locking up the front and rear wheels.
Track number 1 on the right-hand side of the screen appears to be a lot wetter, yet the times don't seem to reflect that that pit is tougher to get through at this point. And here comes the time traveler. And earlier, Larry talked to him.
Out of Niles, Michigan, Bud Thompson, the time traveler, a 1955 Thunderbird Mudbogger. Why a T-Bird Mudbogger?
It's the only one around as far as I know.
What kind of an engine?
Chevrolet.
What's the hardest part about driving in the Mudbogger?
Concentration. Trying to pick the right path to go down. There's a lot of competition out there, and there's a little bit of luck involved in it, and just a lot of mechanical ability involved in it too. And
is it fun?
yes, definitely.
So here we go. On the far side, the time traveler. On the near side, Craig Jones, Lead Sled Jr. That's a 1986 Ford Ranger with a 427 Ford engine using a nitrous fogger system.
And with his weight disadvantage, he'll need more than a fogger system for this run.
Well, you're absolutely right. He's got a very heavy machine there going up against the Thunderbird. They line up. The starter gives them the green flag. The time to beat is 2.33 seconds, and the lead sled goes off and stops almost instantly. And the beautiful T-Bird goes through sideways. The time traveler locks up almost against the wall.
The time traveler made short time of that, and the lead sled lived up to his name.
He is stuck there in the mud. Let's take another look. Now look at the getting off the line, a beautiful start, but only 24 feet 10 inches. And look at that fire coming out of the stack, indicating possibly a fried engine, Margot.
That motor had quite a load to overcome.
3.93 seconds for the time traveler, rocking and rolling through the mud. And then locking up instantly and sliding sideways. It's the dirtiest sport on wheels. Mud bog drag racing action. And a lot of these fans are here for the monster trucks. There's Barefoot's biggest fan. And Barefoot and Bigfoot and all the rest are coming up a little later. So don't go away. We'll be right back to the Pontiac Silverdome with more Mud Bog Madness. Welcome back to the Budweiser U.S. Hot Rods 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show Spectacular from the Pontiac Silverdome. We have 4 mud runs to go to qualify for the finals, and the time to beat, the Instant T's 2.33 seconds.
And here comes one of the veterans to the sport. Driving Nitro Express is Clay Langley.
A Nitro Express, a 1932 Austin body with a 393 Chevy engine. On the near side, the Gravedigger, owned by Jeff Tripp, driven by Brian Tripp of South Lyon, Michigan. This is a custom-built Ford buggy with a 351 Ford engine.
Now, it's got a body that doesn't look very aerodynamic, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything in mud bogging.
It looks strange, Margot. It's a strange-looking body, this Gravedigger.
Maybe it's supposed to be like a coffin.
Let's see what happens. They come up and line up on the line. The Gravedigger and the Nitro Express. Nitro Express on the far side, the Gravedigger, the yellow machine on the near side. And the Gravedigger launches out on a beautiful run all the way through the mud, digging a big hole there at the end. And the Nitro Express makes it just a few feet. And there is the Nitro Express, 42 feet and 4 inches.
Say the Gravedigger dug a grave for the Nitro Express, but you can really get a feel for how deep that mud is. Clay's going for the cement floor.
He will not give up. Let's take a slow-mo look at the Gravedigger. Good start, trying to keep up above the mud to skim across the top of the mud. 3.34 seconds for the Gravedigger. Getting a little bit out of shape now, but he keeps the throttle on and launches all the way through the run.
That shorter wheelbase is going to be more difficult to control, but he had a pretty good run.
And now comes the dirtiest job of all, hooking up the tow line to a stuck car in 4 feet of mud to drag him out.
Hey, there's some 10-year-old kids in the stands that would probably pay to have that job.
They've got to drag that muddy machine out. And again, it takes about $30 in quarters to clean one of these at the quarter car wash afterward. And they tow out the gravedigger who's already made it through the entire run.
We saw that truck explode a little earlier. That's the lead sled.
It's Craig Jones.
This is Tim Ritchie from Buchanan, Michigan. Now, he comes from quite a racing background. His family owns and operates one of the largest outdoor racetracks in Michigan. And earlier, Larry had a chance to talk to Tim.
Tim Ritchie, learning to fly. What about this nitrous oxide system? How does it work?
Well, it's electrically activated solenoids that run nitrous and gasoline both, inject both them into the intake manifold.
You step on the throttle.
It's got a small micro switch that's in the linkage that activates by another switch so that the nitrous isn't on all the time. Just when you turn that on, it powers the other switch, which then you have nitrous when the thing, which is full throttle.
What happens when the nitrous kicks in?
It boosts about 500 horsepower.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Is it an E-coupon ride?
Yeah, quite. It's different.
And his competition tonight, the Mud Patrol, driven by Tom Martin from Portage, Indiana. The Mud Patrol is a 1932 fiberglass Ford coupe body with a 541 Chevy engine.
And learning to fly is a 1988 Jeep with a 512 Chrysler engine and two 850 carburetors, puts out over 900 horsepower, and they've got to beat 2.33 seconds. Coming up on the line, the Mud Patrol, painted in Highway Patrol colors from the 1930s, and learning to fly, launches beautifully and edges out the Mud Patrol at the line. A great run, Margot King.
Learning to fly got a great start, and that's probably what's going to edge him out of this run.
Mud Patrol almost an equally fast start, but was edged right there at the line. Let's take a look back at it. Here's Tim Ritchie, Buchanan, Michigan. Learning to fly, a beautiful 1.99 second clocking. That's incredible. The fastest time of the night, 1.99 seconds. Whoa! Rocking and rolling through the traps. The Mud Patrol, a 2.79 clocking, almost a full second slower. And that's it right there, Margot. A slow start, just not launch fast enough.
His wheel starts to spin. He just can't get a bite to get that horsepower of his hooked up to shoot him through the traps.
So the Mud Patrol goes down in defeat and learning to fly, a beautiful run. And here is the Great White Hope, Mike Fair, the points leader. A 1927 Roadster with a 548 Chevy engine, alcohol injected with nitrous oxide, putting out 1,400 horsepower.
And on the near side, we've got a 1985 Jeep Scrambler that's driven by 20-year-old Mark Payton. And the name of that vehicle, Rambunctious, from Vandalia, Ohio.
It's one of the youngest drivers in the circuit, 520 Chrysler engine, 1,000 horsepower with nitrous. The Great White Hope weighs only 2,000 pounds, second lightest vehicle out here. Here's the run. Neck and neck, and the Great White Hope pulls out in front. And that was almost close to a record run. Mike Fair has had a lot of experience in mud bogging. He's a points leader in the U.S. Hot Rod Association. This particular class is looking awfully good. Let's see what he looks like getting off the line. 2.69 seconds. Not bad. Not quite fast enough after Ritchie's 1.99.
Mike Fair's also in the business of making race chassis and parts for these mud bog vehicles.
Very intelligent young lad. And gets through there with almost a record clocking. Let's take a look at Rambunctious. 2.77 seconds. Not bad at all for a stock body Jeep.
And remember, he's only 20 years old, a beginner in this sport. He has a nice, clean run.
But not quite fast enough. This is Mike Sneed and Thundering Heart in a custom-built fiberglass funny car from Lakeville, Indiana.
And on the near side, we've got Ed Nikos with Physical Therapy. It's a 1983 Chevy Blazer, alcohol injected with nitrous.
Coming up on the line, staging mud bog drag racing, a unique American sport. The time to beat, 1.99 seconds, Tim Ritchie. And Physical Therapy bogs there as Thundering Heart makes his way through. But oh, and look at that! He blew off his blower filter at the end.
And these stock body trucks are definitely having it tough on this inside pit.
They've got the weight, and that's what they've got to overcome, Margo. They are so heavy. Some of them weigh close to 2 tons, and they just don't have the power to stay up above the mud.
And this mud is not very forgiving.
Not at all. He is not giving up. It's the driver's option to keep going as long as he is making forward momentum. As soon as he stops, and he just did, he gets the red flag. And now comes the task of towing out that heavy, heavy truck. Made even heavier with an accumulation of mud.
And it looks like this crew's changed their clothes. They're clean again.
You have to use some mighty powerful detergent. Thundering hard. 4.5 seconds. Let's watch him as he makes his way through that deep, thick Michigan mud. Let's watch that blower filter as it blows off. Gets all the way through, shuts down, and then all of a sudden, kablooey! So the Mudbog finalists learn on the fly against Instant Tea, but don't go away. Hold on to your seats as Bigfoot goes for the world car jumping record.
Welcome back to the Pontiac Silverdome. Coming up, the original monster truck goes for a world record. Earlier, Larry talked with Jim Kramer.
The most famous monster truck of them all, Bigfoot, Jim Kramer, the driver. Tonight, a world record attempt on a jump. I have never heard of a monster truck jumping before, but you've got the world record now.
I have the record at about 56 foot, and that entailed jumping 10 cars the last event I was at. They were a mixture of a lot smaller cars than what you see out here tonight. These are what you call the big Cadillacs, the big Lincoln Continentals, the very wide cars. Even though I might not make a 10-car distance, foot-wise, we'll measure it in feet, I'll probably be going further than I did last time. So, yes, we are going for a record. I have the record now. I want to try to beat it, break it, so to speak. We're trying a dirt ramp, which we've never tried before. The dirt ramp takes the space of a car. That kind of puts a hindrance on me. That means I have to go faster. But we utilize the dirt ramp because we would like the truck to come off that ramp more level. Last time I tried this, the truck actually flew at an angle. And because I was low enough, the 2 right tires hit first before it rolled over.
What are the advances in monster trucks over the past 5 years?
Engines, drivetrains, axles, mainly axles. We had a lot of steering breakage, axle breakage. I think everyone did. And suspensions. Suspensions have come a long way. You couldn't attempt something like this with a solidly suspended truck. We try to utilize a lot of spring travel in this particular truck. This is our newest truck out. It's about a year old, and we change it constantly. We're always making suspension changes. As a matter of fact, I changed my shock arrangement just tonight for this jump.
Why are no other trucks attempting this?
Bob Chandler's always kind of been an innovator. He likes to get out and always wants to extend the feel of what his truck can do. I just happen to be the guy that can or tries to do what he wants for him. And we talked this over, and we try to plan every jump. We made a practice jump. We've made some jumps before. And never, like I say, with a dirt mound. You always want to try to expand your field. You never progress by standing still. We like to keep that thinking in mind. So it's just another step. But we like to. The monster truck field is in its infancy right now. And if you don't try anything, you never know what you can do.
He's going for 60 to 65 feet. He holds the world record at 56 feet. Bigfoot's going to fly tonight.
And here's Bigfoot getting ready to stage. And he's got some fans cheering him on. Jim Kramer climbing up into that truck.
It's a 1988 Ford F-250 with a 548 Ford V8 engine. Weighs it. Look at this. Look at these people. I don't believe that. 15,000 pounds, and here he comes. The current world record is 56 feet.
Now he's been pacing off the entrance there, determining at what point he's got to start to get enough speed to get that distance he's looking for.
Bob and Marilyn Chandler introduced the first Bigfoot back in 1973 in their garage in St. Louis, Missouri. Now there's a cone set up at the 56-foot mark, and here we go. The first jump, the crowd standing and cheering, slams into the dirt and flies over. I don't think he made a record jump, Margo. I don't think he was quite 56 feet.
Let's hope the slow-mo camera gives us an angle. Maybe we can see that cone.
Yep, that cone was set at 56 feet. That's the world record mark. Jim Kramer, that's got to be a tremendous jolt when he comes down a 6 or 7 on the Richter scale.
Believe me, they have added kidney belts to some of the protective equipment that they wear.
They need it with the jolt he takes when he lands. Comes back around to look back at the cars. The crowd loves it. They love him here in Pontiac, Michigan. Look at him stand and cheer. Here's a slow motion. Remember, he's got to break 56 feet. Watch for the orange cone. The big Ford gets airborne, slams down, bounces once completely off the cars, comes back around. Look at him looking out the side of the window as he bounces off the end.
We couldn't see the cone, but we heard from the floor that he made it 42 feet.
42 feet, the first jump for Bigfoot. Again, he's got to beat 56, and here's the second run. The crowd standing again. A little more speed this time. He hits it, and he's further. It looks like we may have a new world record. The crowd applauding.
We saw the cone that time, Larry. I think for sure
Way past it. He made 70 feet, a new world record for a monster truck jump. Flying through the air and landing 70 feet past his launch. Incredible. Bigfoot. Bounces and comes down hard. Look at him throws him forward against the steering wheel.
Those tires absorbing all that impact.
Boy, they have to. He is just bouncing all over the place. Let's take a look from the low camera. A front-on shot. Look at, you can see the entire undercarriage of the car, Margot King, and look at the flash bulbs go off.
Started further back in the tunnel, got the speed he needed, and that dirt ramp launched him into the air exactly where he had to be.
70 feet, a new world's record. Still bouncing. Look at this guy. Looks like Magic Johnson with a basketball.
Maybe a few new dents in his helmet, too.
All right, we set now for the third run. 42 feet, 70 feet. Can he go more than 70 feet? I don't think he's got the speed. Nope, he comes down early. The original record, 58 feet, 56 feet rather. Spins around. Kramer doing a masterful job of driving that big Ford Bigfoot. He waves to the crowd. Look at him, and they love him here at Pontiac, Michigan. Jim Kramer, a 58-foot jump, but he sets a new world record with 70 feet.
And after an impact like that truck sustained, it's rolling pretty straight.
No question about it. They have just built that truck to last. Another look at it. Here's the jump. This is the third jump. 58 feet for Jim Kramer and Bigfoot, which beats the original record of 56 feet by 2. Does not quite bounce. I don't think he had the speed, Margot.
No, even though he started way up the tunnel, he just didn't throttle it as hard as he did in that second run.
Another look at it. The third run. He has to look out the side. He can't see through the windshield the cars in front of him. He has to look out the side of the window. Gets up in the air, all four wheels off the ground. Bam! Look at the shocks compress. And the glass comes flying out of the last car as the blue and white Ford flag waves in the air. Coming up, side action, the Battle of the Monster Trucks. Welcome back to the USHRA Association's 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show Spectacular, sponsored in part by Goodyear Wrangler Tires. You either have Goodyear Wranglers or you need them. And this is the thrill show part of the show, folks. This is Danny Reed's T-bone crash. Margot, you might ask, what is a T-bone crash?
Danny Reed is about to give you a definition.
Whoa, right into the other car, and that's a T-bone, ladies and gentlemen, as the fireworks go off. Danny Reed center punching another car. There's Ken Donay, our tech inspector, and he's signaling that Reed apparently is okay. He's taking off his helmet. Danny Reed, Hollywood stuntman, T-boning a Lincoln Continental into another car. I think it's a Ford LTD. There's his manager helping him out of the car, and Reed is okay. He's getting out, waving to the crowd. He says, I'm all right.
He plans these stunts out very carefully.
That's right, very, very carefully. Walks away from it, looks back at it. Whoa.
I always thought he should be smiling more.
Let's take another look at it. This is Danny Reed driving a Lincoln and T-boning another car. There goes the first explosion out of the trunk of the car. Another one off to the side, and he lands hard. Look at his head come forward. Another angle. Slow motion. Danny Reed. First explosion. The second one goes off at the top of the ramp. Goes off the ramp, flying through the air, about 4,000 pounds of car. And bam.
And yes, he is buckled up.
And now the side-by-side battle of the monster trucks. This is Michael Vatter's Black Stallion, a 1988 Ford F-350 with a 466 Ford engine. On track 1, that's the far side.
Closest to you on track 2, we've got Larry Tura on Hercules, a 1985 Ford Ranger.
The Black Stallion out of Hagerstown, Maryland, 23 years old. Michael Vatter's 600 horsepower, C6 automatic transmission. And Hercules, a big block Ford 472 engine with a C6 transmission.
We'll be seeing Larry's brother, Al, a little bit later on in this competition, driving Goliath.
Now, it's important to note they are running side by side, and the Silverdome is a big enough stadium to allow this. They're going to race against each other, side-by-side competition over the cars. And there they go. The Black Stallion in the far lane hits the cars first. Hercules slows way down, comes back off, and now catches up to the Black Stallion. Now the Stallion pulls away, and Hercules has stopped. And it is the Black Stallion sweeping around and taking home the bacon.
A real aggressive run for the Black Stallion. He did not hesitate one moment to take care of business.
Nope, you can't do that. You just got to put your pedal to the metal and go over those cars. Here's a full tilt body of Hercules. He's still running very slowly. That's a flip-top funny car monster truck. Oh, listen to the crowd. They like that.
The only flip-top truck that you can actually drive while the entire body is flipped up.
You can't see, however. That's one of the problems. You can't see, but you can drive it.
A lot of heavy-duty rewiring went into that system.
Well over $100,000. Well over $100,000. Take a look at it. 10.38 seconds for the Black Stallion. Leans out the driver's side window, hits it straight on, comes up in the air, but again keeps the throttle on. Gets sideways. A lot of men would back off at this point, Margot, but not Vatter.
You can see he's still got his foot in it.
Yes.
The rear wheels are driving hard.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he makes it through, looks back around, and does not see Hercules, and he wins it. Let's take a look at Hercules run on the left-hand side of your screen. In slow motion, the Black Stallion hits the cars, and here comes Hercules. Comes up, crosses up a little bit, slows down, and then suddenly gasses it. Margot, what do you make of that?
When Larry built this truck, he built it as an exhibition truck. Competition was really not in his repertoire, and you can really see it in his aggression in this event.
Coming up now, Samson versus Goliath in the battle of the monster trucks here from the Pontiac Silverdome. Beautiful machines, each costing well over $100,000, $150,000 now. That's Samson. Driver's Don Maples. He's 40 years old, of Huntsville, Alabama. It's 1985 Chevy Silverado, the big block Chevy engine. He'll go up against Goliath, driven by Alan Tura of Warren, Ohio, the 1979 Ford twin-engine Ford F-350.
That twin-engine truck is a showstopper when he gets all of his lights and all of his motors roaring.
Okay, here we go. Samson against Goliath. The battle of the mythological heroes.
We'll see who's ready to race in this one.
Boy, I'm telling you, looks like Samson is ready and gets off the line faster. Now slows down, comes up in the air. This is where it's dangerous. And people ask us, do these machines crash? Yes, they do. They crash, but Samson makes it through first. Let's take a look back at him in slow motion and see what happened off the line. It seemed to me that Samson was just a little bit more anxious to go and got a beautiful start, and that was the whole secret there.
He's a little more antsy, but it seems like every driver has his own approach to how they're going to hit the cars. You hit the cars hard, you're going to get a lot of air. Maybe you're going to lose some driving forward time. You go a little easier when you hit those cars, maybe you'll make a better time.
This is Goliath. His time, 11.75 seconds. A little slower start than Samson. Slows down, almost comes to a stop there as he hits the first car.
Goes over the cars fairly easily. This truck is one of the most sturdy on the circuit. He's made more passes with the least really
any problems at all. He hasn't had any.
Right.
Samson with 11.4 second clocking. Good start. Keeps the momentum up. Does not slow down, but just a little bit as he hits the first car. Watch this. Keeps the throttle on. The rear wheels driving. Completely up in the air. Extensive use of chrome underneath on that chassis. Comes back down again and again. Keeps the throttle pressed to the floor. Comes off the cars, and this is where he gasses it, and that makes it. So there you have it. The battle between Samson and Goliath. Rear engine and front engine Ford. Look at the flash bulbs go off. Another view of it. Look at that blown engine, Ford engine in the back. Woo! Bouncing and rocking and rolling. From Pontiac, Michigan, about 30 miles up Woodward Avenue from the Motor City of Detroit. And these people in Michigan love cars and especially love monster trucks. Margot?
And when you own a towing business, what better way to promote your business but with a monster tow truck? And earlier, Larry had a chance to talk to this driver.
Ray Perkowski, the owner-builder of the only monster tow truck in existence, Big Tow. And when you say you've been tearing them up, you're not speaking positively.
No, we've been having a few problems. We weigh about 2 tons more than any other truck because of the wrecker bed, and we've been twisting drive shaft tubes right in half.
That's incredible.
It's not too comfortable in the pocketbook, but we're getting it taken care of.
You told me originally you were going to try to be the first truck that towed another truck over the cars. You still want to do that?
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're not going to tow a truck. We're going to tow a car on the back of the truck.
This is a fully functional tow truck.
Everything works on it, 100%.
Who is going to be tough to beat tonight here at the Pontiac Silverdome?
I don't really know. We never ran up against these guys. This is our first time running up against these 6 trucks.
Well, we'll see tonight.
We will. Thanks.
Monster truck. It's called Big Tow. Watch for it tonight.
And Big Tow is up against on track number 1, Lethal Weapon, driven by Jerry Richmond out of Ashtabula, Ohio. What a name.
Track 2, Big Tow. Ray Perkowski comes out here. That's a 20,000-pound machine. That's only 2,000 pounds lighter than the tanks. 79 Ford F-350 tow truck. And here we go. Lethal Weapon gets off the line a little faster. It's quite a bit lighter. Now Big Tow comes in and Lethal Weapon stops. Big Tow makes his way over very slowly over the cars. Lethal Weapon is out of the competition. Big Tow wins this round, but a very slow run.
He was posing for pictures up there.
That's right. Lethal Weapon is sitting up there on top posing for pictures. He's not real happy. Jerry Richmond is not real happy about this. Got to be real embarrassing to a driver. Now he gets it started and comes off. Here's Big Tow making his way back around, but a relatively slow run for the tow truck.
Well, he doesn't want to twist any drive shafts.
I don't blame him. They cost an awful lot of money. And there's Lethal Weapon waving to the crowd. Jerry Richmond waving, and there's Big Tow making his way back. Let's take a look at the action in slow motion. Here's Lethal Weapon, an incomplete run. See if we can see what happens.
It looks like his motor is lurching right at this point. Not a clean approach to the cars, and as soon as his engine gets a little tilted, we're talking stall.
Almost like a fuel starvation. He gets sideways and then stops. Here's Big Tow. Gets off the line slower, but again, a 10-ton machine, 20,000 pounds.
And he's going to nurse it when he sees his competition is slowed way down. You can bet he's going to take care of his truck.
He's just looked over and sees that Lethal Weapon has stopped, and he's got just a free ride to the end. Look at him just mangle the cars beneath him. Ray Perkowski. So the stage is set for the main event. In the monster trucks, it'll be Samson versus the Black Stallion, and the winner of that melee will take on the winner of the monster tank competition. So don't go away. The monsters will battle it out at the 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show Spectacular from the Pontiac Silverdome. Welcome back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association's 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show, sponsored in part by Rizlone, the total oil additive for over 60 years. We go now to the monster tanks.
And in his debut appearance, we've got Barefoot Tracks, driven by 29-year-old Steve Bivens from Pontoon, Illinois. This is a 1988 Chevy truck powered with a 505 Chevy engine. And this baby weighs 22,000 pounds.
It's an M4 personnel carrier tank, and these guys are serious. 22,000 pounds, that's 11 tons, Margot King.
More than I want to have run over me.
He'll go up against Gator on the right side of your screen. This is a beautiful machine out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. The owner-driver, 33-year-old George Cole. We're set to go. Gator coming up against Bear Tracks. First time ever on a track for Bear Tracks. Both weighing in at about 11 tons. There's Gator. We are set to go. And the crowd leaning forward with anticipation. They rock off the line. They don't get that fast to start compared to the monster trucks because of their weight. But look at Barefoot Tracks, over and done. He's finished the race. This guy doesn't mess around, Margot. He just goes right through or over it. He doesn't stop.
Might have been his first race, but he's been on the crew of the Barefoot team for quite a few years. But Spanky, he had a good run. He just didn't win.
Barefoot Tracks takes home the bacon here, the first round of the monster tanks. And Gator goes off to hide in the swamp. Take a look at it in slow motion. Get a look at the start. There's Gator, a 10.53 second clocking, but not quite fast enough. Comes up. There's no stopping these machines. 11 tons, they just power right through anything. Notice they don't get that far off the ground either, Margot.
You really got a great shot of Spanky working those levers which steer those tracks.
That's right. He doesn't have a steering wheel. He has 2 levers to turn this machine. Now, let's take a look now at Barefoot Tracks. A beautiful run, 7.16 seconds. He comes through like Patton rolling through France. Up and over. Gets airborne. Gets air. Comes back down. Look at him. His head wobble around there as he takes the force of that 6G drop.
He looks mean behind that helmet, too. He's
Yes,
got business.
He's concentrating. So this is the Monster Truck Final. And the winner of this event will take on Barefoot Tracks. Track 1, Black Stallion, Michael Batters. Beautiful machine there on the right. Track 2, that's Samson, Don Maples, driver owner, and Samson gets off the line first. He is gassing. Now he slows way down and gives the Black Stallion a chance to go in front. The Black Stallion almost goes on his head. They are neck to neck, wheel to wheel, across the line. Looks like, well, possibly Samson. I think Samson won that by about a foot, Margot. That was a mighty close race.
Looked like a photo finish to me, Larry.
Nope, they tell us it is the Black Stallion that wins. So the Black Stallion will go to the finals. 3 seconds slower than Barefoot Tracks. Let's take a look at it in slow motion. The Black Stallion and Samson. There's the Black Stallion, 10.12 seconds. Elapsed time. Body a little bit crooked there as he comes up on the first car. Gets up in the air, all 4 wheels getting air. Comes back around almost on his nose and almost goes over on his top, Margot.
A real serious nosedive there, but he saved it.
That did cost him some time, however. The Black Stallion gets across the line. Here is Samson. 10.29 seconds. Comes up, hits the cars first, up in the air, but then slows down as the Black Stallion takes over the lead. For just a moment, the Black Stallion loses very valuable time there as he gets sideways, crossed up. Samson, a beautiful run, gets down on the ground and puts the power to those wheels and heads for the finish line.
Mike's basically fearless attitude has saved him through this entire night of competition.
These drivers have got to be in incredible physical condition. Look at the impact the bodies take. Whoa. The head bouncing around.
And he's wearing one of those neck braces, and
Yes.
you can see why.
Coming up, the ultimate battle, the Monster Truck versus the Monster Tank from the Pontiac Silverdome. Welcome back to the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, and the U.S. Hot Rod's 6th Annual Auto Thrill Show Spectacular. Larry Huffman and Margot King calling the action for you, and we are ready now for the battle between the Black Stallion, the Monster Truck, in track number 1 and track number 2, Barefoot Tracks, making his debut tonight.
If Barefoot can just duplicate his previous performance, Michael is in trouble.
Yeah, he's got problems. The Black Stallion off the line first. Now he's got a problem. He stalls, and Barefoot Tracks is on his way to victory here in the Silverdome. What happened to the Black Stallion? Barefoot Tracks, no problem whatsoever. Here comes the Stallion now getting up, getting started, but very, very slowly over the cars. They've been flattened quite a bit. Gets sideways, heads for the finish line, but it is Barefoot Tracks taking the victory. And Barefoot Tracks does a victory spin around to show the crowd that he won tonight. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this machine, Margot.
Absolutely. A great debut night.
And the crowd loves him. No question about it. The crowd loves Barefoot Tracks. Take another look at it in slow motion. Barefoot Tracks gets off the line beautifully. Top speed about 60 miles an hour. 5 gallons per mile. of fuel. There you can see the Black Stallion in the background, stalling. Barefoot Tracks stops, slams down, pauses momentarily, and heads for the finish line.
The motors in these tank trucks are in the rear.
Yep, he's got a lot of power. Here's the Black Stallion. Let's see what he does. He's already stalled, already lost the race. And Michael Batters says, I'm going to put on a show anyway. Comes up and hits the cars. Comes down again on his nose. A little nose heavy, this machine. Batters looks back around. They will go on their heads. We've seen it before. Seen it happen before. Gets completely sideways, almost into the mud. Crushes a cone. And that's it for the Black Stallion as Barefoot Tracks takes the victory tonight here in the Pontiac Silverdome. 8.81 seconds, the clocking. Not quite as fast as his preliminary victory. The Black Stallion, a 31.71 seconds. They could time that with a sundial. It was that slow. And the crowd is set for the finale. The final, the down and dirty mud bog drag racing finale. Coming up next. Don't go away.
The easy cut chop for spots and grime. Stick it, it takes no time. Brighten up chrome, clear foggy glass. Stick it, it's clean and fair. Stick it.
Car Stick, the first car care products in a stick applicator. They're not for cleaning your whole car. Just pick out the spot, hit it with a stick, and buff. That's it. The quick, clean, easy way to touch up your car. The Car Stick, for when you don't need to clean the whole thing.
Stick it.
This is ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Pontiac Silverdome and the United States Hot Rod Association Auto Thrill Show Spectacular. And this is the main event, ladies and gentlemen. The Mud Bog Drag Racing Spectacular between Learning to Fly and Instant T. And the crowd has been waiting all night long for this race. Track 1, Tim Ritchie, Buchanan, Michigan, Learning to Fly. Turned a 1.99 second clocking. In track 2, the second fastest of the night, Instant T, Chad Miller, 2.33 seconds, and here we go. And it is, look out, it is Instant T taking home the bacon. And Chad Miller has made it through, and he's gassing it, pulls out, and look at this guy. Look at him. He is excited. He can't believe it. Oh, 1927 Ford Roadster, Vandalia, Ohio. He's waving to the crowd and wins the main event here at the Pontiac Silverdome. Another look at Learning to Fly. Gets sideways right off the line, and Margot, that was it.
Victim of a common hazard of a late run. In the night, you drop into a crooked track, and that can ruin your time.
And it did for young Mr. Ritchie of Michigan. Learning to Fly did exactly the opposite. He didn't fly and didn't even make it through. Take a look at Instant T. 3.42 seconds, a relatively slow clocking, but a smooth and even run for Chad Miller. Makes it through, and now he's still trying to dig his way out. Now he stops.
Well, at least he had to dig a hole in the right side of the finish line.
So in the Mud Bog competition, it was Chad Miller in the Instant T and some wild and crazy competition. And Margot, you got to say, in the monster trucks and the monster tanks, Barefoot Tracks with Steve Bibbins made an auspicious debut.
I don't know who was more surprised, him or us, because he really didn't think he was going to do that good.
He went through those cars like Patton through France going into Germany. It was unbelievable. For Margot King, I'm Larry Huffman from the Pontiac Silverdome. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Thanks for joining us.